Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Josephine Watson, and I'm the Commercial Project Editor for iGaming Business. We're delighted to be hosting a webinar this afternoon where we'll be discussing the opportunities in Brazil for affiliates. This webinar is being produced in association with the upcoming IGB Affiliate Lisbon event, and we invite you all to have a look at what's going to be a very exciting second year in Lisbon. After years of will they, won't they, it seems Brazil is finally about to regulate sports betting, both online and land-based. Exiting President Michel Temer signed Bill PM 846 into law in December 2018 and has given the Ministry of Finance a period of 2 years within which to draft regulations. This timeline looked considerably less optimistic, however, when the government stated it could be extended by 2 years at a time. As it stands, there is little indication of what regulation for sports betting will look like, what level of tax will be applied, how many licenses will be available, etc., making it difficult for operators and affiliates alike to prepare an entry strategy. In this webinar, we'll be discussing the demographics, internet and mobile infrastructures, payments infrastructure, and affiliate strategies in Brazil. There will be a Q&A session following the presentation, so please do submit any questions as we go along, and we'll try to address as many of them as possible in the allocated time. Our speakers for today's live session will be Florencia Brancato, Country Manager of LATAM at Pinnacle Sports, Luis Felipe Maia, Founding Partner of SYMSA Advogados, and Witoldo Hendrick Jr., Chief Legal Officer for Brazil at Online IPS. Florencia has been working in the online gambling industry for over 11 years, with a specific focus on the LATAM region throughout her career. She initially started out as an affiliate manager, where she has also worked on the marketing and commercial side for numerous established brands like BetMotion, Sportingbet, Brackets GVC, and Betson. In September of 2018, Florencia moved to Pinnacle and now heads up the online bookmakers push into LATAM markets. Louise has a JD degree from the University of Sao Paulo, specializing in business law with a focus on contracts from Getulio Vargas Foundation, and a master's degree in law from Federal University of Pernambuco. He is a frequent speaker at international gaming events. Witoldo Hendrick Jr. founded and operates Online IPS Brazil, a worldwide payments processing company, and Hendrick Advogados, a law firm specialized in gambling and taxation in Rio de Janeiro. I'm going to apologize in advance for my appalling pronunciation, guys. So today, we will be opening by discussing the current landscape and legislation in the market. For those of you who aren't aware, as I recapped earlier, things are now having a bit more motion in Brazil. So Luis, perhaps you could start off the webinar today by discussing the chain of events that ensued from exiting President Michel Temer's bill and what the sort of current state of play
is. Sure. Well, thank you for the introduction. Thank you, everyone who's listening to this webinar. I think it's a very good opportunity for us to share some information and some ideas of what's happening and what's about to happen in Brazil. Last year, the last president approved the law. Actually, the Congress approved the law, and the president approved also that approved the sports betting in Brazil. It was created as a lottery modality, so it's a little bit different from the traditional fixed odds sports betting that we have in some countries, especially in Europe. As a lottery modality, it has some mandatory payments to some public funds. And one of the issues that we are going to discuss during this webinar is that this is creating a very heavy taxation based on turnover, which may be an issue. The Ministry of Economics, SECAP, is working on the regulation at the moment. They have just issued public consultation, and the industry is welcome to portray our view until the end of this month. During an event 10 days ago, maybe, the secretary from SECAP, Alexandre Ângelo da Silva, mentioned that their intention is to get the first draft of the regulation ready to be signed by the president until the end of the year. And they also expect to have some changes in the law some of them regarding taxation and some other issues. And that's one of the reasons why they released the public consultation. So I think it's quite reasonable for us to expect the opening of the market in the first semester of next year.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that recap, Luis. And from your perspective, Bertoldo, how has this changed the game for operations in Brazil?
First of all, hi to everybody. Special thanks to all Clarion team. It's a pleasure to share this panel with Luis Felipe, who is a great friend in Florencia, a great business partner. And well, what I really think it's going to change after the regulation is the perspective of all foreign operators that Brazil is a safe place to put money in. What I heard in the last, let's say, 6 months is that some companies that doesn't have operations yet in Brazil, that they really want to come to the country. They really want to start advertising in the country. They need to start branding. But on the other hand, some companies that already sell back to Brazil, they already have their brands, and they have been putting a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of time in this regulation for the past, let's say, 6 years, 5 years. And this is the stage where we are right now. It's not absolutely consolidated stage. uh, and that's the reason that they decided to wait until we have something more reliable for them to really bring their business to the country. So what I would say is, this law that has passed in December last year, it's not the perfect law, but it's definitely that's the country waving to the world, saying, look, we are going in this direction. So it's not perfect, but it's going to be better. The regulation that SECAP is asking opinions for operators all over the globe. In fact, I don't really see how we could create a good regulation using this law. For me, it's like trying to fit a circle into a square, because as Luis Felipe Maia said, it is based on premises that the sports bet is a lottery, and in a lottery, the house never loses. The house always wins. And because of that, we cannot have the shares of the profit, the shares of the income, like they did in the law. For this reason, I don't really see that the regulation that is coming on the horizon, it's going to be a perfect regulation, but definitely a sign that we are walking the right direction, and something that will bring more a stable scenario for those countries that want to invest in the country.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Bertoldo. And Florencia, obviously, you've been at Pinnacle for a short while now, and largely while this is all going on. How has this impacted things at Pinnacle and changed the strategy, if at all?
First of all, I want to see the law first up and running, because, as you say, I've been in the industry for a long time, and Brazil always was saying that we are going to have a law and we are going to have a legislation and regulation in place. I think this is the first time that I'm seeing something really that you can touch and you can see, but I'm not sure if this is going to happen in the end of the year. As we told us, there's something important. There's a big players, big competitors already in Brazil, and to enter in this marketing is not easy. You have GVC that is working in Brazil like for, I don't know, at the moment I think 80 years. Then that's 365 also is in the industry, and they are really, really aggressive. Also, if you want to buy TV advertising space in it's difficult, because they already buy it like 1 year in advance, and it's not going to be easy for other operators, even ourselves, like Pinnacle, need to see this as an opportunity, but need to find other ways to make brandings. Maybe you are more open. In the past, you need to use like a free site like pinnacle.net or sportingbet.net or sporting quiz that they use just to enter the market and to make branding. At the moment, you are going to be more open. You can do whatever you want at a regular market. I think it's a challenge, and it's good to see that more brands are in Brazilian market now at the moment.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that insight, Florencia. So moving on then, we want to have a look at today what Brazilians want from a bookmaker and how affiliates can help. To begin to answer that, Florencia, it would be good to get some of your insight here as well. Perhaps you can kick us off by discussing some of the key demographics in Brazil and which content will engage with these groups the most.
Yeah, I think the demographic in Brazil is the age group are you have two different, and it depends if it's going to focus in casino or in a sports book. The sports book people is more like younger. You can have big players from 18 to 15, 50, 60 years old. Most of them are men's. You can have, and that is funny, like many women, but perhaps that woman that is a man that is betting. Sometimes they have double accounts and they use the wife account and his account. In casino is more different because you have more women betting and playing. Then something that is important, favorite sport is soccer. And it's not only local soccer. They follow La Liga. If one of the Brazilian players is playing, they are going to follow that team. That is something that is very normal, and you need to use your strategic behind of that. You need to follow also the Brazilian players and make promotions with that teams that they are playing. Doesn't matter where they play, but it's very important to check on that. Then you have other sports that are very helpful because the soccer season is not the whole year. You have UFC, that is also very important, tennis, basketball, also the NBA is very important, and also I think the last one is volleyball. They are very strong, and of course to follow the national team, it's very important. When is the World Cup or any special Copa America, something like that, they follow the national team.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Florencia. And in your view, how can affiliates support bookmakers in their efforts a bit better?
Sorry, again?
How can affiliates support bookmakers in their efforts?
Well, it's very important. I think that the combination for the affiliate program with the affiliates is very good. They need to have good communication and see what the promotions are they doing and then promote it, and to follow all these games, like you can have affiliate that they are like talking about tennis or have a site only about tennis, and they really need to focus on that and follow every single match and put the attention, not to only put the Brazilian flag. They hate that. Like they need to mention the tennis player or what is happening, just to follow. Even soccer is the same, just to be updated. It's not like, I think that is something that we change. You really need to have information of what is happening, and even now that we have social media and affiliates are doing a lot of that. Like Instagram, if you see Instagram, you have a lot of influencers at the moment. They are the best affiliates at the moment in Brazil, and they are following the match. You can see them in the match, showing pictures, make vivos, make all the videos alive. And I think that is very important, just to be part of the game, part of what is happening in the Brazilian market.
Brilliant, thanks so much. So moving on to a slightly different topic, the internet infrastructure in Brazil is the fourth largest worldwide, with 140 million internet users, according to statistics published by Statista.com in 2019. Florencia, I'm going to come back to you again here, keeping you busy. Could you kick us off by discussing how this translates to the iGaming space and what it means for businesses considering the market?
This is also very important because we need to adjust ourselves in what is happening. Like if you have a site and your site is not responsible and you cannot check it in your mobile, or if all the links that you have are not responsible to your program, and if you are an affiliate, you also need to check that. When you put in place one of the operators, you need to check what is happening, if your links are correctly, if your banners see it good in mobile or not, or in different devices.
Brilliant. And perhaps, Witoldo, from your experience, do you agree with that from working in the online space?
Sure. Florencia was put the subject direct in the target. One thing that I would add is that affiliates need to be very careful with localization. We speak Portuguese, but our Portuguese is quite different in some points than the Portuguese from Portugal. And I check some URLs almost every day for clients, and most of them use Portuguese from Portugal, which is not quite attractive to the general public. One more thing that I agree with Florencia is that any operator needs to check if their platform is reaching the right audience, or at least the audience that they want. And one example that I can provide you is lower income people. They access the internet all day long, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, but they don't have a computer at home. They use it on their phones. So they are in this statistic of more than 100 million people accessing the internet, but they will not access your website using your computer. So, or you give them a beautiful and reliable platform for them to use their mobiles, or you're not going to reach them.
Excellent. And Louise, I think Witoldo covered the demographics there quite well, but do you have anything to add from your experience with what kind of demographic becomes accessible thanks to this internet penetration?
I think some key numbers may be interesting. We have over 230 million active cell phones in Brazil, which is, we have more active cell phones than people in the country. We have nowadays more than one smartphone per adult. So Brazilian people is extremely connected. On the other hand, less than half of the Brazilian citizens have bank accounts. I would dare to say that maybe 30%, less than 30% have credit cards. So payments is always an issue in Brazil. Also, you have to be careful when we speak about demographics and we talk about who's your audience, who you're targeting, because as we told, Ferencia and I spoke in other opportunities, the, the audience will change once the industry is regulated, once we have operators in Brazil with new additional payment options, with different strategies, with a land-based operation. And I think land-based operation is going to be a critical factor in Brazil, maybe an omni-channel approach, because nowadays you have sports betting, you have illegal land-based operation in almost every bar. So you have, this is going to be also a payment option for low-income people, instead of using bank accounts, instead of using credit cards, to be able to go to the bar, to go to the grocery store and buy credits or receive prizes.
Excellent. You carried us over nicely there to our next topic, which is actually about a bit more on the payment infrastructure in Brazil. Witoldo, obviously, this is something you work with quite closely. Could you perhaps discuss the payments infrastructure and the challenges it presents? If there are any sort of things that are unique about Brazil in that sense?
Of course. Well, Felipe introduced the subject, and this is something we heard during the presidential run last year. We had 60 million people with bad records on credit. It means that these people, they don't have access to credit card, for example. So credit card is a valid payment method, but it's not going to reach the overall society. Mostly because they don't have credit, or maybe they don't even have a bank account. So one payment method that we definitely reach, you have the potential to reach 100% of population, is the boleto bancário. Boleto bancário is a kind of barcode which represent a routine. So the money must leave this point and land in that bank account specifically. So it's something that has the potential to reach 100% of population, because you can pay using your phone, you can pay using your bank account, or you can pay cash in any point of acceptance of boleto. So boleto bancário is definitely the most popular payment method. The problem right now is because an operation from overseas is legal, because our law cannot be enforced outside of the country. So if you want to run your company outside of the country and sell bets to Brazil, that's okay. So in theory, as a payment method, I can provide service to any company that provide legal services. And bets, of course, they are legal because they are outside of the country. So with that in mind, I would be able to provide bank transfers. I would be able to provide boleto, credit cards. The specific problem with credit cards is not a public or a criminal issue. It's much more private than anything else. The reason that we cannot offer credit cards for gambling operation is the MCC. That's the merchant category code. So Visa and MasterCard, they give the same code 7995 to all kinds of gambling, because in all places where the gambling is allowed, they treat gambling as one single entity. Or you can gamble or you cannot. But in Brazil, we have some gambling verticals that are legal, like poker, because it is a skill game, esports, or official lottery, or sports bet, because the law approved last year, but they are in the same MCC of illegal operation, like casino, like slot machines. So because of that, if I try to approve a 7995 operation, then I'll get it denied by Visa and Master, because they cannot understand which vertical is this. They treat all gambling verticals as the same stuff. So Brazil is quite different on this subject, and ideally the best to improve our payment facilities in the country would like receiving a 7995A, 7995B to try to create a distinction between legal and illegal gambling verticals.
Excellent, thank you so much. So our final topic on the panel part of today's session will be discussing how affiliate programs can help affiliates grow. Florencia, as someone who began in affiliate management, I'd be interested to hear your take on this.
Okay, first of all, I want to add something about payments, if you don't mind, because I think it's something that is important and it's also related to mobile. People, it's using the mobile to bet in the stadiums at the moment. They need they want to place the bet immediately. This is something that the operator needs to take in consideration and have the ability to do it. But also payment sometimes is difficult. When some of the operators, what they does, and we told them mention Boleto is one of is I think is the key in the market, and at the moment we are struggling with Boleto. I think it's important to know how some operators does that. Boleto, if you go and buy one boleto, you purchase the boleto, but you are going to have it in your account in 24 hours. If it's during a weekend, it's going to be on Monday. That is going to be, you cannot place the bet immediately. And when you want to bet, you want to do it right now. You don't want to do it 2 days later, and you don't think in advance like, oh, okay, on Saturday is going to be a match, I will deposit today just to have the money in the account. No, that is not happening. But what is we call boleto in advance is some of the operators, what they does is they give the money in advance to the customer. They purchase the boleto, they give them the voucher, and then they give them in advance. Then on Monday they consolidate that amount. It's not easy, it's risky because sometimes can be fraud in the middle, but I think it's a good solution that every operator need to take in consideration if they want to enter in the Brazilian market. And now going to the affiliate. I'm sorry that I changed it, but
no worries.
Yeah, but I think it's very important. Regarding the affiliate program, well, I've been running more than one affiliate program, and I think it's just to help the affiliate. First of all, we need to share all the concepts, to share what we know about the market. And from there, we need to think that the affiliate is a partner. And it's not easy. Not every affiliate programs knows that. Or managers, affiliate managers, they don't treat you as a partner. But this is simple. This is revenue share. This is different type of deals. And something that is working good for both parties, just to share in advance the promotions that you are doing. If you plan in advance, maybe you can send it on Monday, what promotions you are going to have during the week. Or even the affiliate sometimes share with the affiliate manager what is happening. Florencia, I have one player that is saying that Banco Santander is down. And you check it, and it's true or not, and you fix it. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do, but I think there's some key. You need to have like a good marketing material. Everything needs to work. Like links need to work. You need to before you start a campaign, you need to check the links. Not only the affiliate manager need to check it. Need to double check if and make an account in that affiliate site just to see if every tag is working and everything all the funnel is working. Sometimes you can find some mistakes, sometimes everything is working smoothly. And then sharing the information, sharing the promotion, make a special promotion for them. Like if you on different channels, sometimes you need to have promo codes, because now, as we mentioned, mobile era is very important. You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have Twitter. They have affiliates. Sometimes they have WhatsApp groups, and from there they promote the affiliate programs, the brands, and it's very important just to have good material for them.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Florencia. We've got some great questions that have come through to the Q&A session, but before we move on to that today, it would be great to have sort of a concluding statement from each of you about what the opportunity is in Brazil and sort of what are some of the top line things that you want people to take away today. So perhaps, Witoldo, you could start us off.
Okay, what I would leave for this webinar is we are a continent-sized country. We have more than 200 million people. There is no opportunity for a business to grow like what we are seeing right now in Brazil. If it's not for the next month, it's definitely for the next year. So any company that really wants to have a strong international operation need to watch, need to check, and need to understand what is going on in Brazil right now. So what I would leave, we are a 200 million people country, the 8th economy on globe, and we have a lot to offer to not only the gambling industry, but to all industries that want to get established and run their business in Brazil.
Excellent. And perhaps, Louise, you can take the next closing statement.
Well, I'll have to be a little long here. First of all, I would like to say that we have a law that was approved, and despite the fact that it was treated as a lottery, despite the fact that it's not ideal, I think it's going to work. It's going to be amended, and we are going to have ongoing operation here in Brazil next year. From the conversations that we have with the regulators, they are committed to creating a feasible and profitable market here in Brazil, and a competitive market. They understand that they need to do that, otherwise no operator will invest in Brazil, will come to Brazil. Second, I think affiliates will have to adapt to this new reality. From these, I've been around the industry in the past 10 years, and I have seen different types of affiliates. I have seen affiliates that do marketing, only marketing, and I have seen affiliates that provide payment services or advance credits that are more involved in the operation itself. I have seen all kinds of things. And once the operation is local, affiliates may be held liable, depending on what they do and how they do it. They may be held liable by the clients based on the consumer protection laws. So I think it's very important for the operators to adapt their affiliate programs, and also for the affiliates to be careful on what they do, on their terms, on their conditions, on their actions, because according to the Brazilian consumer protection law, all the all people, all companies involved in the supply chain, from the manufacturer when we're talking about industry, or when we're talking about service provision, from those who provide the service, or those who offer the service, or those who are involved in the service that is being offered, are jointly liable before the consumer. And in Brazil, consumer protection is a serious issue. It's very costly for the companies, because we have something that is called a special justice for consumer for small lawsuits. So any lawsuits below 40 minimum salary, so we're talking about roughly 40,000 reais. 40,000 reais, we're talking about 99.99% of any betting related claim. may be subject to the special justice, and the consumer does not have any kind of cost, of legal cost, to file a lawsuit. Even if they lose, even if it's a completely bogus claim, they don't have any cost, they don't lose anything. As a result, we have thousands, I would dare to say maybe millions, of consumer protection related lawsuits in Brazil. This is something that operators will have to deal with those costs, and affiliates may also be held liable depending on what they do. So I think this is something to be on everybody's radar. I think, as you told said, this is going to be a very interesting, very large market. We are in the middle of a revolution regarding payments in Brazil. We have hundreds of fintechs changing the payments scenario. We have an attempt from the government to open the banking system to create more competition. And I really think that the timing of the opening of the Brazilian sports betting market will be next year. I don't know if we're going to have online casinos. And what I can tell you is that we're facing some very interesting times in the following months.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for that overview, Luis. And then finally, Florencia, from you, a closing statement on what you think the big takeaways here are, if there's anything different from what Witoldo and Luisa just said.
No, I think they cover everything, but I think it's a very good opportunity for the affiliate because, first of all, there's no many at the moment, and I think it's going to be much easier for them to promote when the legislation is going to be in place. And I think it's something that the operators needs to have more good affiliate partners to help us to grow.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Florencia. So we're now moving on to the question and answer session of the webinar. We've had some fantastic ones sent through already, and we'll crack through some of those. Don't be afraid to carry on submitting them, however, and any we don't address, we will try and send round responses following the webinar today. So to kick us off, Florencia, you quite rightly highlighted the importance of research and finding enough information to remain up to date with your audience. But where do you think operators and affiliates can find that information when it comes to Brazil?
First of all, read the news. I think this is the main focus. All the sports websites are helping us to reach and to see the information, and then talk to the affiliate manager because they need to know. If they don't know, it's not a good affiliate program, you know. They need to. And something that is important that we told us said, it's important to talk in the same language. I saw many affiliates who try to copy and paste what they are doing in other markets, and it's not working. Or maybe even from Portugal, and it's not working. You need to talk Brazilian Portuguese. You need to have some writer who writes in the right language. It's very important to focus in localization and to talk to the program and see if they know or not. If not, you can check. Many websites are very good at the moment. You have if you go to Google and put some keywords, you're going to find a good information there.
Excellent. And someone's asked us how important are these stats and data in a user's choice of bet? Is it paramount to engage with a user in this way?
Yeah, I think that the statistic is very important. Also, like you need to track what you are doing. It's and I think nobody accept that to not having it at the moment. If you don't like when someone say if you do TV or like offline media, in some way you need to check it and see if you have any effect in Google Analytics. You know, it's something that you really need to take care and see it.
Perfect. And then, Rodolfo, I think you did cover this earlier, but it might have been someone who came in a bit later. And I just wanted to ask, what are the most common payment methods for gamblers? How much is cash-based through transfer affiliates? And we've also had a question about sort of the best way to engage with payments.
Of course. In brief, we have different payment methods in Brazil, and the only one that reaches 100% of the population is boleto bancário. Florencia made an important statement that a boleto bancário usually takes 24 hours to appear in the player's account. But depending on where you pay and depending on how you pay, it may get 5 days to appear. And when someone want to bet it now. That's the same problem that some other verticals face, like dating, like video streaming. When they want to see now, they want to talk to the girl, they want to talk to the boy right now, not in a week. So one important thing is the operator need to understand what kind of audience they want to touch. So if they want class A population, then they can offer different payment methods like bank transfers, like credit card, of course, paying attention on the MCC problem and taking care to not miscode, of course. So, but anyway, you have different payment methods. If you want to reach not the standard consumer, maybe these people, they don't have a bank account, they don't have credit, so you need to provide them the boleto solution. But because the boleto solution takes a few days to appear in the bank account, so you need to educate your audience to keep funds in their account so you can play anytime you want. But once again, you need to educate your audience, you need to educate your players for them to adapt their habits to this new reality. About the localization that Florencia was talking about, there are some interesting companies here because they can create different, the dialect is not the right word, but because Brazil is so big, we have Portuguese different in the northeast than in the south. Its dialect is not the right word, but for academic proposal, it serves here. So there are some companies that, based on the IP access, they can provide one word or other word depending on the IP because of the region of the country. So there are interesting companies that can provide you this kind of localization, which is very, very focused and the audience that you want to target. And that's it. So the payment, what is important is take care to not miscode because of the 7995 code. You need to educate your players for them to use the possible payment method and to use it in a way that it will be efficient for them. Another problem that operators come to us trying to solve is every click you force your players to take action, you lose 7%. So lots of payment methods, they redirect you to a page, then to another one, then you make login in a website, you put money there, you bring the money from there to here, and the conversion rate is not the best when you have this kind of solution. So lots of things that you need to have to take in consideration before you choose the perfect payment method, and always directed to that specific audience that you want to reach.
Excellent. And then as a follow-up to that, someone has asked, since the situation is so complicated in Brazil surrounding payments, would you say that Bitcoin operators have an advantage over traditional brands? What's the sort of state of play for them, Rodolfo?
Well, legally, there is no problem to use traditional banks. The problem is, do they want that? Commercially speaking, uh, they are worried about branding problems if they accept payment for gambling. This is the question that you need to ask to every bank that you want to work with. I can give you some another example. I had a chance to speak in a special commission at the Brazilian National Congress about payment methods and cryptocurrency and digital assets. And there I could hear from some exchanges that they had bank accounts closed by the banks simply because the banks don't want to deal with cryptocurrency. So legally they can, but commercially they don't want, and they simply close the account instantly without noticing, without asking, without checking if the KYC UBO is good or bad. So just because they don't want. And we don't have a law forcing the banks to keep your bank account open if you deal with payments that they simply don't want because they are afraid with brand damage. So legally, yes, you can use any bank you want because the operation is legal. But since you cannot enforce the bank to accept this kind of payment for this specific industry or that one, then the problem is not legal, it's commercial, it's private problem.
Brilliant. Just to let the audience know, we've only got time for one or two more questions, but do carry on submitting them. As I said, we will send around a summary after the webinar addressing some of those questions. Moving swiftly on to the next area of discussion. Someone has asked, will the online gambling laws be the similar to sort of the US where it's state by state, or will it be for all of Brazil? Perhaps, Luis, you can comment on that.
Hello? Florencia?
Luis, it was for you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I had a problem with connection here.
Apologies, I'll repeat the question. Will the online gaming laws be for all of Brazil or state by state in like the US, in your opinion?
Yesterday, the president of Brazil, during a meeting with one deputy from Minas Gerais, stated that he was pro-gaming regulation, but he also thought that the states should decide whatever they wanted to have regulated in their jurisdictions. And I have heard that state by state discussion also during some meetings and some discussions with the regulators. I don't believe that we're going to have a state by state online regulation. To be honest, I think it's going to be on the federal level. I think if something will be left for the state to regulate, it will be the land-based operation. And I'll tell you that for two reasons. First of all, in Brazil, gaming is a matter of criminal law. And according to the Brazilian constitution, only the federal government can legislate on criminal law and also on draws and contests. And second, because I think that would make Brazil lose the greatest advantage that we have, which is the large market. We have the potential of being maybe one of the three largest online gaming market in the world if we remain together as a country. If we start dividing state by state, we are going to face some very difficult issues like the US. We'll have different regulations, different standards. You have the geographic issue. Maybe if you're based in one state, if you can accept waiters from people resident in another state. I think this will bring a lot of complexity, of additional complexity to the regulation without any kind of advantage for the country or for the states. I think if it's a matter of revenue sharing, they can do it in another way without creating difficulties for the regulation.
Excellent, thank you so much. And to wrap us up today, Florencia, the last question will be for you. In terms of social media, what channels do you think will be the most effective for an affiliate to break into the market? Whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or SEO strategies, what's your view?
At the moment, I think Instagram is one of the most popular and the one that they are using more. And also WhatsApp, like they have many channels. They are using it a lot. But I think you need to cover all. But I think Instagram at the moment is one of the most important.
Perfect, thank you so much. Cool, well, that is all we have time for today, guys. I'd like to give a big thanks to Florencia, Luis, and Witoldo for joining us and sharing your fantastic insights. And also to our audience, you've been incredibly engaged and sent some fantastic questions through. We're looking forward to answering those post-webinar and sending through those responses. For everyone's information, today's webinar has been recorded and will be available to listen to on demand shortly for you to rewatch and share with your colleagues. With the Lisbon conference just around the corner, we hope to see all of you out there. As I say, please reach out if you'd like any further information on that. Otherwise, we'll be seeing you all soon. Have a good evening.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for hearing.
Good evening,